Hi everyone, my name is Isabelle and I'm going to tell you a little bit about my favourite bird today, which is the resplendent quetzal. So it's spelt Quetzal, so it sounds like it should be quetzal, but it's actually quetzal. A little bit about why this is my favourite bird. When I was about 10, I was really into interesting or impressive sounding words. So I got a year 5 design and make project, and I was researching all the tropical birds that I could make, and I came across this amazing sounding bird called the resplendent quetzal. It just sounded so impressive, and it also rhymed with pretzel, which, I was very into at the time. So I think we were definitely destined to be together, me and the resplendent quetzal. So I'll give you a little bit of information on their physical properties. So the most distinguishing feature is that during the mating season, the male, when they're, trying to impress the ladies, they can grow this incredibly long tail that's only got 2 feathers in it. So their actual body is probably only about 20 centimeters long, but they can grow a 2-feathered tail up to a meter long, which is like 5 times the size of their body or something. So it's very impressive, and they're really colorful as well. But that is not the most interesting thing about the resplendent quetzal, because the resplendent quetzal is actually really closely tied to many American cultures, because it had pretty intense significance in Aztec and Mayan culture. So in Aztec and Mayan culture and mythology, there is a god called Quetzalcoatl, which translates to Quetzal feathered serpent. And there is a lot of evidence that suggests that this god was inspired by the resplendent quetzal, not only because, it's literally in the name, but also when the resplendent quetzal flies, the 2 tail feathers spiral and it looks like a snake. So you can definitely see where the idea of a quetzal feathered serpent might have come from. So as a result, they held a lot of status in Aztec and Mayan cultures. If you killed one, you were looking at a punishment of death, and their feathers were used as currency, and they're still the national bird of Guatemala, and the Guatemalan currency is still named after the quetzal because of that ancient currency. However, the bird also represents liberty, because they're incredibly hard to keep in captivity. So you can imagine, with their feathers being used as currency, this would have been quite an impressive feat to catch them, get their tail feathers, and then let them go again, because they were so hard to keep in captivity. So they were pretty interesting birds in terms of the history around them. But the other interesting thing is that when their tail feathers were used as currency, they're these beautiful feathers. So the wealthy would also wear them to kind of show off their wealth, and also just because, why not wear a necklace made of beautiful feathers, or, adorn your clothing with them. So I guess that's one pretty cool aspect about, the idea of using a feather as currency. But also, any of the rulers or priests in Mayan cultures would also wear these feathers on headdresses, because that symbolically connected them to the god Quetzalcoatl. So yeah, these birds have a lot of history behind them, to be honest, and they're still, so deeply rooted in many American cultures, particularly Guatemala. So yeah, and I'll just give you a little bit of a squiz at my year 5 assessment, which I dug up. It's just artistic genius, as you can say. The likeness is amazing, and I've tried to give it a long tail. It's not exactly a meter long, but I was barely a meter long at that point as well, so I think I can be forgiven. But yeah, absolutely, go and look up these birds, because they are so impressive. They're very beautiful, but what's most amazing about them is their ties to Guatemalan culture and their ties to Mayan and Aztec mythology. So yeah, that's a little bit about my favorite bird.